Hey guys, welcome to another New World video. So guys, they released the new devlog today for New World, and I have to admit while watching it, it really made me feel, well, honestly great about the future of the game. Not because they promised anything exciting and groundbreaking, beyond the stuff we already knew was coming. Hell, they didn't even really give us any exact dates. But it was just the feeling, the excitement, and the positive energy surrounding the game right now, that I feel maybe was missing in the past. So let's talk about some of the stuff they did cover. I don't want to talk about every single little thing, because really a lot of it, like always, was just rehashing. But some stuff I do believe is important for us to talk about. So let's get into it. So right off the bat, roadmaps. Many of us have been anticipating the new roadmap very soon, because we are all done with the last one really. And they said in this devlog that we will get it in December. So that's awesome, and I know all of you are as excited as me to see what's going to be on it. And although they didn't want to share any exact dates until the roadmap is released, they did share a ton of things that are coming that will likely be on it. So that got me even more excited. So one thing I know we are all wanting and anticipating is raids, and they confirmed today that a raid is coming, and coming very soon. And it will be to kill the big sandworm that we all see swimming around Brimstone. They want this to be a much more difficult encounter than we are used to, and require us to think and plan for it. So if they can deliver something like that, I'm very excited for it. But in the more immediate future, they mentioned they have some stuff coming very soon, we should be excited about also. First, of course, the Winter Convergence. This was a great event last year, I really enjoyed it, and I hope they use some stuff that they've learned over the past year from the newer events to spice it up a little bit. And also a new mutation. It combines Starstone and Armorine. This should be pretty interesting. I'm also really looking forward to that. I'm not sure if they're going to create an entirely new expedition where you will have like the mobs from Armorine and Starstone. They didn't give any details. Or if it'll be somehow the two instances put together because they're too short on their own individually. I'm not entirely sure. These will more than likely be in the November PTR. But as for the raid, they did say that although it may turn up in the PTR soon, this won't mean it'll be in the release that it's combined with. They plan to run it on the PTR for some time to just get it right. They also mentioned that the leaderboards were planned to be released very soon, as we all know because they were on the roadmap, but have been pushed back due to priority shifts. So don't expect those until 2023 sometime. I know, a little disappointing, but nothing we will lose much sleep over, I'm sure. They also mentioned that they have a ton more territory control changes coming that will hopefully continue to balance the game and make territory control more fun and engaging, but not overpowered for the teams that control the territories. Now, for the thing that got me the most excited out of everything that they had mentioned, and that is introducing cross-server Outpost Rush. First, it's amazing because it will of course eliminate the Outpost Rush queues, which will be great, especially if you're like me and have limited time to play. But even more exciting for what it means moving forward. They plan to take this cross-server technology after it has been ironed out and running perfectly on Outpost Rush and apply it to every aspect of the game. Expeditions, arena, everything, to allow players to get smooth access to content regardless of the population of the server that they're on. So guys, that one is huge. Now, speaking of Outpost Rush and expeditions, they also said that they are continuing to work on the gear loadout or management system, although it is complicated and is nowhere near ready. So yeah, don't expect it anytime soon. But they also said they do recognize the desperate need for it, and how hard it is managing so many gear pieces and sets. So it is a priority they continue to work on very often. This will also be one of those systems that we see on the PTR for multiple iterations, because they do not want to screw this one up. The fear is in their minds. Players' gear getting accidentally deleted or lost. If this thing went wrong, the fallout would be devastating. So I understand why they are taking their time. They also talked about stuff that's coming, just not soon. More like March or April next year, but it's still exciting to know that it's coming. Like a new event, the Spring Bloom event, which I love events, so I immediately got excited about that. They also talked about 2 new planned expeditions currently in development surrounding the Vigarian Knights, which I pray are endgame. The story around them is so cool, but having it be exclusively 30 to 40 content at this moment is lame. So it would be great to have some focused on endgame. They also were talking about they have a ton of group finder improvements coming next year, but they didn't specify exactly what they were, which will likely coincide with the cross-server framework, I would imagine. And one of the best things ever to be talked about in any devlog, the TRANSMOG system is confirmed and in the works. But it is still a ways out. Like they said, maybe March, maybe later. But here's why it's important to know now. If you get a piece of gear that you just love and think is so cool, even if it's low level, do not throw it away, guys. Save it. You will so regret getting rid of it when the time finally comes. I can promise you that. This happened to me in World of Warcraft. Stuff I tossed away, I ended up farming for literally years once the system was added. They also briefly talked about barbershops because some content creators create a lot of hype surrounding them by noticing an NPC named Barber, thinking that it meant a barber was coming. Well, they're not, at least not soon. They did comment that they want one in the game eventually, and it is a great system in any MMO, but it isn't on their priority list yet, and they haven't started working on one yet, so don't expect it. They also talked about the Fresh Start servers, and talked about all of the stuff we already know, but also a cool aspect we didn't. So Fresh Start servers will not be launched like the game did originally, in that a bunch of servers will open and we will join them all at the same time. They plan to do a sliding scale opening, where different servers in different regions will open at different times. They will release more information about this just before the launch, so be sure to watch for it and plan around when you want to start. Also, they are holding a sort of tournament returning to Eternum. Twitch drops tied to a content creator tournament. I will let them explain because it is a bit complicated.
These teams of content creators together from around the world. We're going to have teams from North America, Europe, LATAM, and we're going to be putting them into their own private environment. And there'll be 3 captains per team. And so we'll have 4 teams. It's going to get complicated, so stay with me.
Right. I'm like, what do you do?
Each team is going to have their own world, so they're going to be trying to accomplish a series of objectives in that world. And as they think of them as bingo card lists of objectives. So Team 1 completes 6 of the 8 bingo card objectives. They are now done with that list and they move on to the next list, which has a harder set of objectives. The really cool part is each one of these objective bingo card lists is tied to a specific Twitch drop. So all the teams are going to start with Twitch drop 1, which would be a cool item. The first team that completes that list of objectives and it flips to the next list of objectives, they then move on to the next Twitch drop, an even cooler item.
Okay guys, be sure to watch your favorite content creator and cheer them on for this one. They also of course talked about a lot of new weapon balancing, because as you know and as they say, it's never finished. It's never complete. Different weapons do better in some situations and horrible in others, and they want to try to prevent heavy metas from forming. The main ones they focused on were the rapier, musket, and fire staff, so let's begin with the rapier. We have recently seen a ton of changes to the rapier that many were not happy about, but they say it's because the rapier has not been performing as they intended ever. They wanted it to be an offensive weapon, not an escape weapon, and although escape in all fights should be a potential option, it was too ridiculously easy for rapier users, and they plan to change this. So if you're a big rapier escape player, or you use rapier in your healer build for escape purposes only, you were looking at potentially coming up with a new plan very soon. The next weapon they focused on was the musket, a polarizing weapon as they say. It's a flat-out garbage weapon in PvE. We all know this, but when equipped in PvP situations, it can be ridiculously overpowered. So they talk about how they plan to try to fix it, and what they are dealing with, which is making it take so long to fix. It's sort of a double-edged sword. They want to make it less powerful in PvP, so they want to maybe have drop-off damage over distance, or potentially a big decrease to the stamina damage it does. But they don't want to do this in a way that makes it even more useless in PvE. Then, on the PvE side, they want to increase its damage without adding more to the fire and making it even more overpowered in PvP. So guys, you can see this won't be an easy one. I don't know why they don't just accept it. Some weapons will always be better in PvP. It is what it is, but I do get why they want balance. I just worry it's a bit of a rabbit hole, like when they tried rebalancing the lightsabers in Star Wars Galaxies and killed the entire game. And finally, the fire staff. Not a huge thing around this weapon. They even say that the fire staff is in a pretty good place. But there is currently a cheese in the arena where a stacked team of 3 fire staff combo will run in all flamethrowers, so it's basically uninterruptible and unstoppable. So to counter this, they are looking at increasing the mana consumption of flamethrower or extending the cooldown. Nothing huge, just that cheese is needed corrected. And to close it out, they look at crafting. My personal favorite part of every dev blog. They start off talking about how they are working tirelessly on rebalancing the pacing. The goal in their minds is they want gathering to refining to crafting to feel like they tie together. But to be honest, I don't think this goal will truly ever be attained. Some people just like farming mats. Some just like refining. And others just like crafting. Every game has always been that way. But I also recognize that people crafting 1.2 million weak gemstone dust to hit 200 jewel crafting is very stupid. Now, they say that the new first time craft double experience bonus will go a long way to remedy this. I don't totally agree here. It's a great start, don't get me wrong. But it isn't enough to make crafting everything more efficient than just making, for example, a bunch of warhammers or round shields. Long run, it's still not going to be better for people to first time craft everything. But they have the right idea. It just needs to go a bit more, like having crafting writ work orders, sort of like the town boards, that award large bonus experience. And I know you'll say that, well, they sort of already do. Yeah, that's not exactly what I mean. Have a repeatable quest where you can do maybe 5 per day per settlement, that will randomly ask you to make 10 great swords or 15 shields or whatever from the tier you're currently in. And you turn them in and receive recipes or crafting materials or something in return, even gold. something that encourages a variety in crafting, keeps it interesting, and makes people want to do it. Like even adding in a 0.05% added trophy material as a reward. A very low chance, but it exists, that kind of thing. I do think though, the biggest takeaway from this section is when they talked about this, stuff like golden scarabs. They will be doing more of that, adding things, changing systems to make it more possible to get bis. But keep one thing in mind. They say right off, it's a tightrope. They don't want it to be so difficult to get bis that you become disengaged and quit trying. But also, they don't want to make it so easy that everyone has everything, and it now has no value. So they will be monitoring this stuff, and making changes regularly as needed, meaning if something feels too good, it won't last. So don't make long-term plans around it. It may get nerfed, and nerfed hard. Okay guys, that's about it for the devlog. Overall a great one. I've included a link as always to it in the description. What are you guys the most excited for moving forward? The new raids, the new events, the new expeditions, or just longing to get going on the fresh start? Let me know in the comments. I also have been asked over and over if I would do an Iron Man run on fresh start. No market, no grouping, no company. Let me know if that's something you want to see. And as always guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.